Good evening. Hello, neighbors. Let's have a city council meeting. It's Monday, April 14th, 2025. Let's call to order the city council for the city of Highland Park, Illinois. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Bruckman. Here. Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Tapia.
Present.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Here.
Councilmember Stone. Councilmember Bloomberg. Mayor Rotering.
Here. We do have a quorum. I'll just share. Councilmember Bloomberg had a conflict this evening. Councilmember Stone came down with some sort of awful cold and we sent her home. So they send their regards and we appreciate them leaving. Not really. With that, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting held March 10, 2025? So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The minutes are approved. May I have a motion to approve the warrant list?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions on the warrant list? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Bruckman.
Aye.
Councilmember Ross. Aye. Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, that's 5 ayes, no nays, and the warrant list is approved. We'll now continue to the report of the mayor. As families in our community and around the world gather to celebrate Passover, we honor a story of resilience, hope, and freedom. This year, that story feels especially poignant as we remember those who are still not free. 59 hostages who, after 555 days, remain in captivity, and the families who are waiting, praying, and hoping for their return. We continue to stand with them in solidarity, pray for their immediate release, and share our love and support with their families, especially those in Highland Park. As we say at our Seder tables, let our people go. Chag Sameach to all who celebrate. I have no appointments this evening. We do have 2 proclamations this evening. First, we would like to recognize April as Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, also known as Blue Kids Month. I'll read that proclamation. Whereas every child deserves to grow up in a nurturing environment free from abuse, neglect, violence, or endangerment of any kind, and whereas 125,000 children are abused or neglected each year in Illinois, and whereas the effects of child abuse are felt by whole communities and must be addressed by the entire community, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among the courts, social service agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement, and the business community. And whereas Blue Kids is a program of the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center and works in collaboration with other Lake County partners to create awareness about child abuse. And whereas the Highland Park Police Department annually establishes a Blue Kids display in the Southeast Pocket Park at the corner of Central and St. John's Avenue to create awareness about child abuse. And whereas all residents should become more aware of child abuse within the community and become involved in its prevention and support parents to raise their kids in safe, nurturing environments. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Rotering, Mayor of the City of Highland Park and the City Council of Highland Park, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. I call upon all residents to learn more and increase their participation in efforts to prevent child abuse, thereby strengthening our community. As part of this initiative, the city and specifically our police department works to raise awareness among community members and provide age-appropriate educational resources for parents. And at this time, we'd like to welcome Sergeant Amanda Duchek to accept the proclamation and to share more about this initiative. Sergeant Duchek, thanks for coming this evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for the opportunity to share more about Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, also known as Blue Kids Month. You may have seen the Blue Kids banner outside the police department. During Blue Kids Month, our goal is to provide the community education to protect children from abuse. Blue Kids Lake County is a program of the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center. Through this program, the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center brings together partners, organizations from all sectors throughout Lake County to raise awareness about child abuse, engage kids by promoting peer-to-peer support, and encourage education to ensure that all children enjoy a safe childhood. to help support kids, teens, parents, schools, law enforcement, and other community advocates, the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center offers numerous resources on their website. From age-appropriate discussions about abuse, dating, and healthy relationships, and online bullying conversation starters, toolkits, and printables, the Blue Kids campaign includes a wealth of information to help us create a healthy and safe environment for kids. There are also a number of events and activities for all ages planned for this month. See the resources and the calendar at friendsoflakecountychildren'sadvocacycenter.org. You could also visit cityhpil.com/bluekids for more information about this campaign and learn how you can support the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center and the Highland Park Police Department in working to protect kids and teens from abuse. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
On a happier note, we're delighted to celebrate the 45th consecutive year in which the city has been recognized as a Tree City USA and proclaimed May 3rd, 2025 as Arbor Day in Highland Park. We, of course, have a proclamation. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business area, and beautify our community, and whereas trees help reduce the erosion of our bluffs and ravines by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas Highland Park has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation for 45 consecutive years and desires to continue its tree planting ways, and whereas Highland Park is hosting an Arbor Day celebration on Saturday, May 3rd from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. in the Ravinia Festival West parking lot, where the city, park district, local organizations, and businesses will offer a wide variety of environmental resources, along with more than 600 live native trees and shrubs ready for planting. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Rotary, Mayor of the City of Highland Park, and the City Council of Highland Park do hereby proclaim our support of Arbor Day and the Tree City USA program in the City of Highland Park, and urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our city's forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. And with that, we will hear from Director Bannon, our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to take a moment to recognize our exceptional forestry staff, City Forester Ben Miller and Assistant City Forester Hannah Kochek. There's only two of them, plus a seasonal, so two and a half people that cover a lot of ground in the city, and they do a great job for us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. And with that, I want to share some details, actually, about what's to come on May 3rd. You do not want to miss this. Rain or shine, the Arbor Day event is a great time, and there's a lot planned. Please join us again May 3rd on the Ravinia Festival West Lot from 9 to 11 a.m. for exhibits, demonstrations, and giveaways to brighten up your home or garden this spring. The event will feature birds of prey from the Northern Illinois Raptor Rehab, a Touch a Truck exhibit, confidential document shredding, bicycle recycling, an electric vehicle showcase, and much more, again, including plant and tree giveaways. So don't miss it. It's going to be a total blast. I also want to share that April is Autism Awareness Month, and in April and always, we celebrate the experiences, contributions, and perspectives that our neurodiverse community members bring to Highland Park. At this time, I would like to invite Officer Jake Lanahan to highlight the Premise Alert Program, a fantastic resource for community members who, in the event of an emergency, would benefit from ensuring that first responders are immediately aware of their diagnosis.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for the opportunity to present information about the Highland Park Police Department's Premise Alert Program and the other initiatives to support individuals with disabilities in our community. All Highland Park police officers complete annual training to better understand and respond to residents' needs, especially with respect to visible and non-visible disabilities. Through the Premise Alert program, the City of Highland Park Police Department offers a no-cost voluntary identification bracelets and shoe tags for residents with non-visible disabilities in an effort to provide an enhanced level of safety to our most vulnerable residents. Whether a bracelet or a shoe tag, these help first responders to address incidents where a person may have difficulty communicating about the emergency due to their diagnosis. Community members with non-visible disabilities, such as autism, dementia, mental illness, or diabetes, may benefit from this program because first responders are immediately alerted to the person's diagnosis. Highland Park was the first community in the North Shore area to implement this service. As part of this program, the city's dispatch center also maintains a database of Premise Alert program registrations. This database is completely confidential and is used to provide first responders with important information about a registered individual in the event of an emergency. To register for the program, just visit cityhpil.com/premise alert program and complete the online enrollment form. The information is updated every 2 years. You can also share this information. You can also share information like this in your Smart 911 profile. Heads of households can create a Smart 911 profile that provides information about everyone residing at that address. When you add a person to your household, you will have the option to add details and medical information about that person. You can also add emergency contacts and a list of preferred providers. This information is kept confidential and is only available to dispatchers in the event of an emergency. An additional benefit is that your Smart 911 profile travels with you. So if you're on vacation in another municipality that also subscribes to Smart 911, their dispatch center will be able to reference the information, the important information, should they receive a call from one of your registered numbers. Your information must be confirmed every 6 months to remain active, and you can enroll in Smart 911 by visiting smart911.com. We encourage residents with any questions to reach out to their PBC officer or visit the city's website at cityhpil.com/police. Find your PBC officer at cityhpil.com/PBC. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Lanahan. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good job.
Mayor, I just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about some of the programs that we have going on at the police department. Very excited about the work and the programs that we're offering, but really proud of the people that are doing the work. So I appreciate the opportunity to have you come get a chance to meet some of our officers today. Sergeant Duchak spent the last 5 years working as our juvenile investigator, so she spent a lot of time investigating some of the most heinous offenses you can imagine, and was recently promoted 2 weeks ago to sergeant. So now she's working with our crew on the midnight shift. And then for our residents, the PBC program is something that you should really take a look at and get to know. You all have your own personal police officer at your beck and call. We have 5 beats in the city of Highland Park, and we have one specific officer assigned to kind of coordinate and lead all of the efforts in that beat. So wherever you live, you have an officer, and you can go to our website and find that officer and reach out and get to know that officer. It's our way of trying to personalize law enforcement and giving you a resource, so it's not just somebody in a uniform that's showing up to your house if you've got questions. So please go to the website and look up your officer and take the opportunity to meet them. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you so much, Chief. We're very appreciative of the many ways the police department is working to enhance services to support community members of all abilities. It's really terrific. And City Manager, I think it might make sense to put this information in an e-news because there was a lot there, and it's important information that I think people might appreciate being aware of if they weren't watching the meeting this evening. So,
Absolutely. We'll be in the e-news, and it's also on our website.
great, thank you. So last week, April 6th through 12th, was National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and earlier today, we were pleased to welcome Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhardt and representatives of the nonprofit organizations that provide support to our Resiliency Division as our dedicated resource partners. We were proud to join State's Attorney Reinhardt in formally marking National Crime Victims' Rights Week and sharing our appreciation for his office's ongoing collaboration and service to our community. And there's a copy of that declaration outside if people would like to take a look at it. Our next item is business from the council, and I'll just share that our community was saddened to hear of the recent passing of Margie Sandlow, a past member of the Township High School District 113 Board, as well as the NSSED Board. Margie was a tremendous part of our community, always with a ready and warm smile, and is missed tremendously by many. I know Council Members Ross and Littler would like to share some personal reflections, and we'll start with Councilmember Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I asked to say a few words in tribute to the late, great Margie Sandlaw, a phenomenal elected public servant in 2 education systems whose work has and will have impacted every family in Highland Park. And I want to acknowledge Margie's husband, Barry Rosen, and their family and friends in the audience. Thank you for being here. My colleague, Councilmember Annette Littauer, can speak more knowledgeably about Margie's work in District 113, where they served together. Margie and teammates worked tirelessly to get 113's facilities referendum passed. I knew Margie from serving on 2 other boards with her, NSSED and District 113 Education Foundation. I was District 112 School Board Liaison to NSSED and was in constant awe of how she simultaneously served as 113 School Board President and President of North Suburban Special Education District, NSSED, now known as True North, which is a cooperative of 18-member school districts that pool resources for special education. She had to understand 18 school districts' budgets, but she didn't break a sweat. Her Harvard MBA served Highland Park and our region very well. After Margie retired from 2 school boards, she continued to serve 113 on its Education Foundation's board as a beloved member, where she and I were again colleagues for years. After she more fully retired from 113, she turned her attention to the needy in Jamaica, helping school children get eyeglasses to improve educational outcomes. She became president of that organization. She was a born leader who squeezed the most productivity out of every day. We were shocked to lose Margie so soon. How on earth could this energetic dynamo suddenly be gone? But she is not gone. She made a huge impact and passed her compassion for others and boundless community spirit onto everyone she knew. So now we must carry that work and love forward. My deepest condolences to her family. Thank you for making Margie's service to our city possible. All of us at this dais know that public service requires great support and sacrifice from our families.
Thank you. Councilmember Littler?
So I don't have prepared notes. I just wanted to share a few observations on behalf of Margie, to her family, to her friends, and to thank you all for coming tonight. It's a tremendous loss to our community because I think it takes a really skilled person to cross the lines of just being one of us, just being a friendly, wonderful community person. But she was also a mentor. I get on a dais and I still think of the years when she trained me, whether it's an Open Meetings Act or in anything else that was Robert's rules, the way we operated on the school board. She cared about our kids. She had great lines of communication with our teachers, our administrators, and with the board. And under her, we had a friendly, warm, working board. And that's not always easy on bodies like this. So I really felt like she was willing to groom us, but then she also let us fly on our own. After I served as her vice president for 2 years, I went on to be president, and it was always good to know where she'd come from, where we went. We had an institutional memory there, and it was great to work with her. So whether she brought her financial prowess or, frankly, her feeling as a mother, her feeling as a neighbor to the school board, it all helped, and that's what we are. That's all that you have up here, our citizens and residents, but those who step and take one step further to give back to their community for everything you all have given us. And that was Margie personified. So I thank her for friendship, for understanding as a mother, as a professional, and as a board member.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be keeping you all close in our hearts and in our prayers and in our thoughts. And thank you for sharing her with us. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Any other business from the council? No? Nope. Okay. Thank you. With that, City Manager, the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just 3 topics on behalf of the staff this evening. First, I just want to identify there are 22 items on the omnibus agenda for formal consideration this evening. We are recommending approval of all of them. Just want to highlight 4 items. The first one is a bid waiver for Miss Nitro, which is the sculpture outside just west of the library. near City Hall's property. Staff recommends waiving bid and entering into a professional service agreement with Pacific Coast Conservation for conservation and relocation of Miss Nitro. The estimated amount is approximately $132,000. This is part of a multi-phase proposal, which is detailed in the staff report, and this follows committee of the whole discussion that we had with the mayor and city council. Councilmember Stone, as you know, is not able to be here, but she just did want me to point out that she's especially pleased to see it with the patina restored as originally intended by the sculpture. We are working on an agreement as part of the next phase to have the sculpture relocated to Arbor Terrace, and that agreement will come for formal consideration before you on a separate date. Item number 2 is the proposed collective bargaining agreement between the city and IAFF, which represents our firefighters. The track changes document in the packet had an error on page 39, which pertained to vacation days for the 24-hour shift. But the clean version of the agreement is correct. So it does not need to be approved as amended, but just want to bring it to your attention and for the record. Item number 15 pertains to proposed improvements in the Briargate Business District. The scope of this project includes the construction of 13 parking spaces. I received a question from Councilmember Litterer, so just want to point out that this is an additional area that was recommended by a number of different businesses. And so we added the construction of this parking area for 13 spaces to the overall project. There are over 200 parking spaces that are constructed in the same fashion as proposed in the staff report. And then finally, item number 17 was presented previously for city council discussion. It is before you this evening for formal consideration. Just want to draw your attention that we made the changes as discussed by the council on March 10th. Pertaining to section 150.441D, and this is the requirement that the special use permit does not apply to storage containers used by government entities that are adequately screened so as to reduce or eliminate visibility from any public right-of-way. So again, if these storage containers are visible from public right-of-way, still have to get a permit, but if they're adequately screened, then we can streamline that review process. They do not need a special use permit. And then just 2 other topics just wanted to share. Included in the packet is a staff report as it pertains to information regarding Northmore Country Club's netting and pole project. The city council approved a zoning relief and design approval on January 27th. And so that provided for the construction of higher poles as well as netting to prevent golf balls from going outside of the property, and specifically onto School District 112's property. That project was approved by the city council, but what was not included in the packet at that time were the guy wires, which are required and integral to the construction of the poles. And so just for full transparency, as set forth in the staff report, we did provide public information pertaining to the guy wires. We did not receive any questions or concerns from the public, and just want to put it back on this agenda just again for full transparency that the guy wires would be an element of the construction of this project. We are recommending approval. School District 112, which is the budding property owner, also supports approval. And our colleagues from Northmore Country Club are here this evening if there are any questions. But this, again, is just for your information unless there are any concerns. And then third, we had this scheduled at a committee of the whole, actually for 2 meetings, but it was being postponed. So just want to share it at the city council meeting as we have been evaluating proposed changes to the sign code. These changes should not be a surprise, certainly to the city council. We've heard from a number of you. We've heard from businesses. We've heard from the general public about opportunities to make our sign code more business friendly, but certainly keep the balance of the look and feel that we want in Highland Park. And so our staff team, led by Director Fontaine, as well as working with our business development team and the public, we have put together a number of different proposed changes. There's a detailed staff report in the packet, just itemized here in bullet point, just so you can see all the different changes. Very important is that we continue to work hand in hand with businesses as it pertains to any signed requests that they have. We want to make sure that they are meeting the code requirements. And then certainly what I'll say, like temporary signs, such as like the A-frame signs that, that businesses would be placed out. We do make sure that there's still pedestrian access where people can traverse the sidewalk. But again, these signs serve an important purpose for the business and are recommended also by staff. So no action is presented this evening for you. We welcome council feedback at any time, and what we are suggesting as the next step is to document all this into a formal ordinance, and then that would be presented at a future city council meeting for formal approval.
And I just want to say thank you, because it's important to maintain flexibility and nimbleness in terms of meeting the needs of our local businesses, and I think it's always important to hear what their requests are. Obviously, you want to have a standard for appearances, but I think this really does a nice job of giving them what they've been asking for. And so I want to thank you and thank Director Fontaine's staff for putting this all together. Looking forward to taking action on it officially. So thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about the banner, I'm sorry, the awning. Actually, where is the banner sign? Oh, there, allow banner signs as temporary
Temporary
signs.
signs.
Yeah. And it is a maximum of 30 days? Is it 45 or 30? What's the maximum? 30 days. And that's fine. I just ask that they don't, somebody doesn't just get to reapply, so that it's just,
Banner signs
continue.
forever.
Right, like, so you have it for 60 days.
A
and- yeah.
reapplication for those temporary signs, yes, so that they wouldn't just be repetitively
There would be a
doing that.
reapplication, but would there,
Would there be a curing time in between so that you don't have just sequential?
Yeah, we don't want sequentially this,
I
Recurring
understand that
applications.
there would
It's
be
kind
a
of a cheap
period of time that they
tack.
couldn't reapply. That's,
Okay.
yeah, repetitive applications.
And
It can't
we're
be
taking-
necessarily forever, right? It's so,
I think it's clear you don't want to have banner signs up all the
All
time.
the time,
And so
yeah.
that will be something that will be addressed
Yeah.
in the ordinance
Okay.
when we take action.
Sure, thank
Good
you.
point. Yeah, we will.
Thank you. Councilmember Tapia?
Yeah, I just want to add my appreciation for this. It's very contemporary, it's very business-friendly. It reflects a let's get to yes a mindset on the part of staff and then the council if we approve it. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Nope? Okay, terrific. Anything else?
No, Mayor.
Great, thank you. City Manager Newkirk, Assistant to the City Manager, Pavlicka, will you please introduce the next item on our agenda, business from the public?
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is business from the public. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the city council on a topic that is within the council's purview and jurisdiction, but is not listed in another location on the agenda. If you would like to speak about a matter that is listed on the agenda, we ask that you wait until that agenda item is called, and we will give you an opportunity to speak then. If your matter is on the omnibus consent agenda, please let us know if you would like us to remove that matter from the consolidated list so that you can speak about it. Please be aware that business from the public is not intended to be a forum for open dialogue or engagement with members of the city council. Rather, it is intended as an opportunity to make comments to the city council. Please do not expect a response from anyone tonight. If appropriate, questions may be directed to the city manager or other city staff. All comments should be directed to the city council. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. We request that speakers refrain from throwing objects or using noisemakers, and that the public not applaud or make other comments after any speaker. We ask that everyone be respectful, civil, and non-repetitive.
Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, now it's my turn.
Yep.
Thank you. My name is Carl Lambrecht. I lived in Highland Park for a long time. Recently, a cutter called the James, there's also one called Stone, and they apprehended a cargo of over 3,000 pounds of marijuana. It was seized by the federal government. Just like they could seize illegal marijuana it's illegal by federal government. I haven't heard any response since my last meeting here. I think it's appropriate that you answer and say what can be done about this illegal activity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Good evening. I'm Rick Heineman, 1449 Glencoe Avenue in Highland Park. I had the opportunity to attend the most recent meeting of the Plan and Design Commission at the Moraine. And I must say that I thought it was extremely well done. I thought city staff and the commission did a terrific job of talking about the issue and making sure that everybody was heard. Very well done. But something was said at the meeting that prompted me to go look at the charge that the Plan and Design Commission has. And I don't know if you looked at it recently, but it's like a full page. Lot of stuff they do, and it's all very important. But what struck me is a comment from a member of the public that described the fact that they thought that the project was too dense. As you may or may not know, it started out at 262 units, now at 240. He was suggesting it could be 200 or 220, and that we should do this. I personally am concerned about this, not because I have an opinion on that issue. It's not, don't have an opinion on it, not my area of expertise, but we have a severe housing shortage. And I question whether it wouldn't be a good idea for the city to put an additional charge, if you will, on that long page of trying to create additional housing within the community. Not just affordable housing, though we definitely need a lot of that, but all housing. So that would then provide a counterbalance to the issue of, is this project too dense? Then you have something to counterbalance it, and then a decision might be made. Again, I don't have an opinion on the decision. Experts will make that. But I think that that would be something that we should do given our environment of a severe housing shortage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard this evening?
Hello.
Hello.
Just a point of clarification, if I want to make a comment about one of the omnibus, should I do that now or wait until that's taken up later?
When we're doing the omnibus.
Okay, fine, I'll pass on that one then.
Thank you. Which one?
It's number 23, Park Avenue improvements.
That's not omnibus, so that's great.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
but is that on omnibus or?
No,
Oh.
it's like it's on the agenda. It's
Okay.
its own little thing.
So I'll make a comment later on for that.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm Mark Portman.
Thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to make a general comment, and it's not even going to take anywhere near three minutes, but with all that's happening in Washington, I don't think it's any surprise to any of us that federal funding is going to be drying up. And when federal funding dries up, that means the state gets less. And when the state gets less, that means that the county gets less. And when the county gets less, that means that the city is possibly, at risk or jeopardizing, less funds coming in. So I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that I think we as a city, the council, staff, have to be very conservative in terms of our budgetary approach and our expenditure approach. And then even things like, if these tariffs go through, especially if the tariffs go through on automobiles and targeting imported automobiles, we've got a lot of dealerships, on 41 that are going to be impacted, and that might have a, rather material effect on our budgeted sales tax revenue for that district, if you will. So once again, I think we have to be really conservative about not only how we budget, but what the expenditures are in terms of what we're doing. I will make one last comment about I know it was on the city. Can I mention if it was on the committee of the whole?
Sure.
But, okay, so I'm in favor of the grants that are being discussed for the CRG, I think it is, property in
Ravinia.
In Ravinia. It's well overdue, as it was indicated. It was that property has sat idle for 10 years, and it looks like you've done a lot of vetting, although I'm sure there's more work that has to be done, but you've done a lot of vetting about the specifics of the people who want to do the development, and I think that's a good thing. And I know that the city's going to have to do some different things in terms of creating a solution to give to allow the grants that are being asked for, and I'm all for that. But once again, let's just keep in mind we are probably entering a 4-year period that's going to be somewhat tenuous. So those are my comments, and thank you for the time.
Thanks, Mr. Portman. And I'll just share with you, the minute I heard about the tariffs, my first call was to Gita to say, how is this going to impact our sales tax revenue from the car sales that we count on to help mitigate the impact of everything on property taxes and so forth. So we are super conservative, even in the best of times. And I guarantee you now, as we head into this time of uncertainty, we are certainly looking very carefully. We are probably the only community that starts its budget process 9 months in advance of when we pass it. But that's because we do go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And we are absolutely in touch, not only with our representatives, our federal representatives, our state and county representatives, but we're also a member of several councils of government and caucuses who are all working together to make sure that even appropriations that have already been approved that are now being canceled are being addressed and so forth. So these are uncertain times, and we share your concern, and we will absolutely be conservative with our budget.
I appreciate those comments. And just one last comment, which is that I'm mostly concerned about the people in our community who are least able to, or will be the most impacted by, what might be happening, the people who don't have,
A big margin to.
Right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm mostly worried about those people, and hopefully we'll keep keep them in mind.
We share your concern. Thank you. Any other members of the public? Please come forward and state your name for the record. Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my name's Renee Bova. I've been a resident here since 1993. Okay, and I'm here to speak about police safety. My concern is watching the news. We consider the police our family, and we protect our family. So I just want to mention a few things because, I watch too much news. Anyway, police have it far worse than soldiers due to they're following politics in the letter of the law, and the honor system isn't working. So I just want to, I don't want to mention the problems. I'll go into my suggestions, and one of them is my feeling is you maintain things from the ground up. So you maintain the landscaping and you preserve wildlife. It starts from the ground up. That's my suggestion. And if property is being destroyed, there's a problem. I'm speaking to that personally. Anyway, so that we have to protect our families. We have to do something. We protect the police have to protect themselves and loved ones. They protect themselves and loved ones. And you have to do something. And that starts with self-defense. Okay. And I would suggest, and I've seen this personally, is when the police should stay inside, and if they're called outside and they have to be on the street, maybe an attorney or a city council, some member of the city should be with them. That'll keep them off the street. Okay, so I've seen that in Illinois, in Champaign, Illinois, where the police would, when they were on the street, there was a member of the city with them. So that's a suggestion. I would just talk to them and find out what they're doing, what they did, because that seemed to be, they would keep people off the street, I think, to stay inside. If people have, domestic violence is too much now, and people should come into the police department, not go out to the person, unless there's, a weapon or some kind of really dangerous activity. Yeah, they should come into the police station. Anyway, so self-defense, so to get them off the street, they should come into the police station. Anyway, and to maintain, let's see. Oh, and if you want to maintain healthy relationships, they have to have good family relationships, not be part of the domestic violence problem. Stay married. Okay, you stay married. Maintain healthy relationships with family. Avoid being part of the problem. Stay together and healthy. And police should be paid well. Have lifelong insurance, retirement, health club memberships, and vest should be a uniform, given to them, not meetings. And retirement, there should be a retirement age. You don't make a career of violence. I wouldn't have my children have a career of violence, and I certainly wouldn't have the police make a career of violence. So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And the training training should include attorney representation, and they should stay together. And here's the, honor mother, okay? We should take
Ms.
the
Bova,
character
Ms. Bova, you
counts-
can provide your comments to me if you have them written.
The character count signs take responsibility. Do something. Honor mother, respect commandments, privacy, independence.
Thank
And
you.
For the police, they should analyze the violence and make a better plan. Must be avoided and should be avoided.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, we'll continue on with our scheduled business. We have items 1 through 22 grouped together for omnibus consideration. I'm seeking a motion to approve items 1 through 22.
Mayor, may I pull 1 and 15, please?
Sure.
Thank you. I'll make a motion.
Okay, so a motion for 2 through 14, 16 through 22.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions on those items? Any from the public? Okay, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Brockman.
Aye.
Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 5 ayes and no nays. Those items, as noted, have been approved. Item 1 is a resolution waiving the formal bidding requirements of the city's purchasing manual and approving an agreement with Pacific Coast Conservation of Denver, Colorado for the provision of art, conservation, and relocation services, and this is specific to the Miss Nitro sculpture.
So I want to just thank staff for looking into this a little bit more in part at my request. This is a very reasonable bid for the disassembly, the reassembly, and the movement of Ms. Nitro. I don't like looking at this without the full package. We don't know yet how long there will be storage. We don't know several elements to it. So I just want to go on record that when we're voting, we are voting for part of the project. This is not the full cost. There will be other elements to this. And so I just want to be very clear that this amount of money is only going to the disassembly, the renovation, and the movement of Ms. Nitro, but not the storage and other costs.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Okay, and that's actually my comment about 15. We could actually group it together if everyone else would be okay with that.
Sure.
And that is, we are looking about the Briargate, so thank you again for the explanation about the parking lot. Right now, that is supposed to be done in pavers with asphalt in between. It is a parking lot. I want to know the difference between the costs of pavers versus asphalt, whether or not it's in keeping with some of the other areas. And so I have no problem in voting to progress with this project, but I want to have that information as we go along and before it's in final approval.
I think this is final approval.
This is final approval.
So Public Works Director is here, and I know we've had conversations previously about pavers, costs, impact on stormwater management,
Right.
how long they
Maintenance,
last.
right.
Maintenance, so if that's,
So if you had that, otherwise we could vote on those two separately. I don't want to make it more difficult. But
Well, in this case here, I would say that we did not design the project without pavers. So it does cost money to put hours into design. And so in certain situations, we have looked at them and did design in both ways. We have not been doing that. We've taken the direction from council and putting it into the paver direction. Having said that, with some rough estimates, we estimate in this particular case about a 17% increase for the pavers versus doing just strictly asphalt parking spots.
And what does that constitute in terms of dollars? Because right now, the way I broke it down, it's $6,500 per parking space.
$14,000 extra.
$14,000 extra to do with the pavers. Okay.
That's our rough estimate, rough round number
let me
estimate.
ask though, if there's a difference in terms of which lasts longer, do you have to redo asphalt more frequently? What is the impact in terms of our goals for stormwater management, which are
Right.
absolutely real over there?
Absolutely right.
Absolutely, Mayor. So we have taken the approach that though the pavers, we've never, at no time have we said the pavers are going to be less expensive, but they provide that stormwater management that has been so important. And they require maintenance, as does asphalt. So there's a maintenance item or aspect to the pavers as far as re-sanding them, because they're permeable, they're made to let the water through, and so you have to make sure that they continue to do that over the years to, so that they're doing their job. Just like asphalt starts to wear, we might go in there and patch the asphalt and that kind of thing. The brick pavers may need to be patched here or there, but generally speaking, the pavers last a long time. They just take the joints need the maintenance to make sure that there's not weeds or something growing through that would stop the water from flowing through as designed. So we have looked at certain situations as far as long-term maintenance. I don't know if I have that information for you right now, but is both asphalt and the pavers require some type of maintenance. It really just different. You know, the asphalt we're not going to maintain in the same way, but the asphalt we come through. In some cases, we do a pavement rejuvenation treatment at year 5, and so that costs some money, and then we come back and do some patching and stuff like that. So there's maintenance in both.
Okay.
So do you feel like it's adequately researched? Because, and I do want to be very clear, because I know it was the policy formally of the council that there were certain areas in which we were going to do pavers. But then when we stopped work on the one alley, we said going forward, we would revisit that. So I think from now on, it should be very clear that if we're doing it, I at least, and I think we could talk as a council, I'd like to see a cost comparison
A cost-benefit analysis.
on both of them, and that it's not just the
Because
dollars, to the mayor's
we
point.
have another parking lot coming up shortly, I believe, that's
Well,
designed.
and, yeah, that's correct. So, Mayor, we can bring back, so as you know, we had a conversation at a committee of the whole on pavers versus asphalt. And I just want to emphasize Director Bannon's point. So there is a cost for the city if we need to engineer 2 different types of construction projects. So we have been operating based on the policy direction by the majority of council that for parking lots, we have pavers in all the parking areas and asphalt in the turn movements. So we saw it in 2nd Street, the Trinity lot, Hazel, you know, so all these parking lots, we've been following the same way, which includes all the parking projects that are scheduled for 25. So they're all
have already been
currently planned
engineered
out that way. So if there's an interest to change that policy direction, then certainly I guess would be looking for majority of the council, and we can again put it on a future committee of the whole to have that policy conversation again, and maybe take a couple of projects and actually do that comprehensive analysis so you can see and we can have a robust policy conversation. We could do that, but I guess for cost consideration, I would be hesitant about here and after pricing out every single project in both ways.
I think we need to make a policy decision.
Right.
And it's, you know, for efficiency's sake, for planning's sake, and so on. So I guess at this point, my question to you, Councilman Lidor, is do you want to take these 2 separately? Or do you want these 2 items voted on together? They are on omnibus.
Let's take them separately, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I
so
just think it's cleaner.
Okay, seeking a motion then to approve item 1.
First,
Say so moved.
so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks. Any further comments or questions on item 1?
I have one more question.
Okay. For item 1 or for?
item 1.
Okay, thank you.
So I know you answered the question about this is just for, not for where the Miss Nitro will be. When would that conversation be? And in terms of the change of the cost then for this contract, it sounds like it varies based on where the Miss Nitro will be. Is that
Good question, Councilmember Buckman. So this contract, that cost will not change. The additional, I'd sent an email earlier to the council based on Councilmember Litterwer's request. So there are additional costs as it pertains to the temporary storage, laying a concrete foundation. So that type of construction work that's necessary with actually placing Miss Nitro at her future home. So we received preliminary approval by Arbor Terrace to have her relocated to that property. We are just finalizing terms and conditions that would eventually be placed in a proposed agreement. We're working with Corporation Counsel and their attorneys and bring that forward for your consideration. We hope that would be done in the next 30 days. And then at that meeting, at that time, we will have those additional estimates because then we'll know exactly the timing. But we just want to make sure we reach preliminary agreement with our relative now who's going to house our sculptor on an agreement with them.
okay? Thank you. That opinion.
Great. And this is all just part of the timeline of the library's project, to get Ms. Nitro out of the way so library can start its project. But she will be
Correct.
back in the swim, as they say.
Correct, correct.
Councilmember Tapia?
Yeah, actually tied to the conversation we had at the committee of the whole about, surprises in pricing, right? And so we'll see how these next phases cost. Now, I know that 2-3 meetings ago, there was a back of the envelope estimate about the whole Miss Nitro process, and it was pushing like $1 million. And it was a back of the envelope thing, and everybody put that caveat. So when I saw that, whatever, 150,000, 190,000, I said, well, that's a lot lower. That's good news. But then read the fine print and says, well, but there's going to be other costs. I just want to make sure we're not, do we have any placeholders to the point that was made earlier, right? By, Councilman Ross, is in the process of more back of the envelope or more placeholder, like what are we looking at the potential total cost?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So for example, let's just say Arbor Terrace says, no, we can't reach agreement. Now we are back to the drawing board trying to find a new location. Now those temporary housing, for example, if we want to go back and look at Brown Park and work with the Park District, that's going to be several months before they make a decision. Now your temporary housing, the storage, is a lot more. So again, the factors are just so tentative right now but we're moving forward towards that towards that phase of having those costs. So I don't have a back of the envelope right now, but we are working on that. But this agreement is, for this contractor, is that firm price. That's what we are paying for that contract. So that will not change.
Right.
Yeah, that will not change.
And transport. And I think that's the lion's share of what the cost is going to be. My understanding is that we are in a good place with Arbor Terrace, but we just don't have that finalized, or hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we should get that finalized. So that would shrink the cost of renting storage space.
Correct.
And then the matter of laying out a couple of concrete slabs, we'll see, but I don't think it's going to be huge. And I understand, everybody's wanting certainty in terms of not spending any more.
Well, maybe not certainty, right? But just not a big surprise.
Correct, yeah. Nobody likes surprises. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we will definitely keep you apprised. But for right now, this is the actual contract price with this company. And then the next phase is we're negotiating with Arbor Terrace. So we anticipate a smooth transition to be able to move the sculpture over there. And then we'll have exactly those costs.
So just a clarification. Sure. So if scenario A is Arbor Terrace says, no problem, we're good, is this likely to be the full price to get her over there?
Yes.
With the restoration?
You have to prepare the site. You still have to prepare the
So that's
site.
additional cost.
There's definitely an
Right?
additional.
There's
Oh, yeah, this
additional
is
cost.
not, yeah,
No, this is removal, disassembly, and getting her out,
transport.
getting her to the storage.
Right.
Then you have to pay to store, and then pay to stick her back out on the grass.
Got to do the
outside of-
work.
You got to do survey work, right? If there's utilities under,
got
we
it.
haven't done a Julie locate, got to lay a concrete pad.
Maybe.
Right,
Yeah.
All right,
No,
all right.
okay.
I just want to know what the other elements are.
yes.
Okay.
I guess
Councilman Ross?
I'm just going to add that, and I emailed you and the mayor about, I'm not suggesting Terry Karpowitz at this point, but Terry Karpowitz is a sculptor, has 2 sculptures in Highland Park, public sculptures, and he does move, he's helped a number of major nonprofits move large sculptures, and I would ask for the record that we look at using him if something of this kind arises again, because I feel like he would give us a pretty good discount on doing that. The storage is another issue, but it's a resource. And
Yes, thank you so much, yes.
Thank you for sharing that. And with that, I do have a motion. I do have a second. Are there any other comments? Any from the public? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Brockman. Aye. Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 5 ayes, no nays. Item 1 is approved. Item 15 is a resolution authorizing award of the Briargate Crossing Parking Lot Project contract to Everlast Blacktop, Inc. of South Elgin, Illinois. I'm seeking a motion on item 15.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on 15?
I just want to state that I had asked in the past that we reconsider this, and I'm glad we're going to now move to that point so that as a policy, we can go forward. I'm not saying we need to do it on every project, but I think we do need to clarify. And even if that cost-benefit analysis, maybe if it's done once, we can do it in a faster way moving forward so we could figure out a way that's more efficient. But I do think it's necessary to make sure that we're comparing so that we're getting the most for our taxpayer dollars.
And we're able to do that because we have a 10-year capital improvement plan, so we know what's coming down the pike, and we can take a look at those and figure it out, so.
Good,
All
thank
right.
you.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Brockman. Aye. Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye. There's 5 ayes, no nays. Item 15 is approved. Item 23 is a resolution approving change orders to the construction management agreement with Leopardo Construction for the Senior Center renovation project. I know Mr. Portman has comments. Do you have a presentation, or are we just taking action at this point, having discussed this for quite a
We don't
bit?
have a formal presentation. We're happy to give an overview, or if you just want to jump to
Do people need
questions.
a presentation, or did you read your packets? Everybody did their homework. Mr. Portman, you're up.
Mark Portman, I hate to spoil the party, but my comment about this was going to be, well, first a comment, then I'll ask the question. Just to state what's already been included in the agenda book pamphlet, the original bid was $7.2 million for this project. In 2024, there was a change order that added $1.06 million, bringing the total cost to $8.3 million, and now there's a new change order in 2025 for $926,000, bringing the project total to $9.3 million. And I'm unclear as to whether or not, I know there's been some discussion about a digital display sign, which I don't know if that's included in this most recent change order or not. So there's additional cost for that. And then Omnibus 24, or whatever it's called, is we've got $151,000 more for the kitchen equipment. I'm just wondering if we can get some clarity.
Sure.
Because, I mean, that was a little bit too much for my feeble mind to read through all that information in the binder, and I'm just hoping to have an explanation as to what the current change order is all about, and then maybe even a comment about the display, and then the kitchen equipment, and then the sign.
Who wants to take this question?
So I'll just start, and then Assistant Manager Jason will jump in. So we did have a PowerPoint at the committee of the whole meeting that just provided background of the project, and as well as the rationale for the kitchen build out and the recommendation for entering into an agreement with Catering by Michaels as the exclusive caterer. So that PowerPoint we can post on the city's website just for public information. Also talked to the mayor and council, and certainly heard your concerns and recommendations just to make sure that we have the totality of project costs as early as possible when they are available. And if they're not, just again, to make clear at every update that further costs are anticipated. So for example, we had a project cost, then we went before the city council for consideration to increase the budget to have a dedicated entrance for the senior center. And so that was not in the initial budget, but upon discussion and based on feedback from seniors as well as past research, with seniors and engagement, there was a policy decision to add that increased cost to the budget.
In 2024.
So that was the 700 plus
Correct.
thousand.
Right.
For the east entrance.
Right. And then we did not budget for the kitchen build out. We planned for a shell kitchen, and then knowing that the costs would come later because we didn't have an agreement with Catering by Michaels. We didn't have negotiated terms and conditions of what exactly they needed, what they perhaps would pay for, what we would pay for. And so those costs were unknown. We certainly could have included just an estimated number in the budget. We did not do that, but I understand that moving forward, there's certainly an interest in just making sure that there's something as a placeholder to do that. And then Assistant Manager Jason can provide a little bit more detail on timing and total costs.
Sure. In terms of timing, so there is the change orders, and I have them right here, so I'll flip for you. So change orders 42, I'm just going to read them out. 42, 44, 48, and 51 weren't included in the staff report in August. Sorry, that was when I was on leave, so I'm sorry. Just to clarify, those bring the project up to the 8.3. I just wanted to make sure they were formally approved. So the total construction cost would be the $8,895,289 with the approvals tonight. And that includes that kitchen renovation construction cost of $900,375, which includes contingency costs of $120,000. So those are for any unexpected, we go into a wall and something crazy is happening. The good news is we already know our grease trap is working. We already know certain elements that we have are going to work in the space. So we don't anticipate utilizing those contingency funds. But the city manager and I both thought it was very important, not only for the construction company to have contingency, but also design and the city itself for our contingency funds. The kitchen equipment itself is a little bit over $151,000, and that is in the budget already. That has already been budgeted for. So this is that $900,000 that we're looking for. It's a finishing kitchen. So I say like finishing plus is what I said in committee of the whole. So it's designed for catering. It's not a full build out of a kitchen, but it is designed for catering, plus some additional activities we may be able to use with the senior center in conjunction with their programming, as well as, depending on how we decide to use the kitchen in the future, to not have to reinvest and reinvent the wheel for design and adding more equipment. So it's in a good place. It's the right size. What was there before for the former country club was an incredibly huge kitchen that we've now right-sized down, cut down. There's not a freezer. There won't be food prepped there. This is like just for the finishing.
Okay.
So stuff will be coming from a commissary kitchen off-site and then prepared for serving. So these are all questions that we also asked in the committee of the whole. There was strong questions and concerns about things growing extra heads after being approved, and how do we make sure that we keep track of where we are in the budget and costs, and especially now. I mean, we're seeing with the tariffs and everything, who knows how many percentages are going to be added on top of what the estimates were. So we've put in a request basically to staff to just say, as we move forward with large projects, we really need to have solid costs with clear caps, estimates. If you can't give us a solid number, something as a placeholder, so there's not this Christmas morning surprise of, oh, you've got to be kidding me, it's now an extra whatever. What's important also that we heard tonight was that Catering by Michaels is back in full swing with events. And so where there wasn't as much last year, still following up after everything that the community's been through, they're booked with weddings and bar mitzvahs and parties for corporations and so forth. So the estimate was that these costs would be covered by the revenue from those events within 4 years. That's pretty good.
And I saw the revenue projections in the binder, so I appreciate the clarification.
Appreciate the question. You wanted to
Mayor,
say something?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
just one other
Go
thing,
ahead.
just so nobody's surprised. What is still coming is the landscape contract. So the parking lot and the sign, anything exterior of dedicated space for senior and banquets is a shared cost with the park district. So we shared the cost of the parking lot, we shared the cost of the sign.
And the parking lot is done.
The parking lot is done, the sign has been contracted, it's in fabrication right now, planned for installation. And then the landscaping contract is, again, a joint venture with the Park District that it's out to bid right now, I believe, with costs coming in. Again, that's in the budget, but again, what those costs will be, we just don't know. We haven't opened bids yet, but that'll come before the council for formal approval as well.
Great, thank you.
And you said shared, so is it 50/50 or is it something other than that?
50/50.
With the Park District?
50/50, yes.
And that's because the Park District has the health center, and then
Right.
we've got the senior center, and then the,
Preserve.
And they've got the
Catering.
preserve, and we've got the catering,
right,
so, yeah.
right. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Little?
So for full disclosure, because I was very upset with this, but in 2014, this project was $3.1 million. And a lot of time has passed, and COVID has passed. And so this staff has worked very hard to keep that down.
There was no,
Well, if I could just clarify, so it was 3.5 million, but that was the placeholder. So that was the placeholder, just like right now, as a placeholder in 27, the Public Service Center and Fire Station, if you look at the capital plan, it's got a price in there, which is just a placeholder. We haven't done planning yet to figure out what is that true cost.
Well, so
Yeah.
part of what I was going to get into is that staff has worked very hard to keep that price down. And we went over in committee of the whole, because we felt very strongly about this, that whatever the placeholder is, it has to be realistic.
Right.
It has to have everything included in it. It's not about making mistakes. Things change. Since COVID, construction costs, we understand that. And we are grateful to you because we know you're shopping around in a competitive bidding way to keep those costs down. But we don't want any surprises.
Right.
And we want to know a placeholder that is the totality of the project. We were not going to have an event hall without a kitchen. So we all knew that, but if we don't even have a $1 placeholder in there, when we get hit with a $900,000 hit and 3 days to review it, it was really very frightening to some of us. So the only complaint I now have, because I would like to move across, first of all, I have a big compliment to the mayor's point. There's no doubt on the return of investment of this and the bookings that are going forward, and it is a beautiful place. It's going to get used. The city is going to make it back. This is going to be a good source of revenue for the city. So I'm very pleased about that, and it's going to work out in a very short period of time. The one thing I want to make sure of, and we do have certain, not givebacks, but lower prices for residents, for community groups, for sister governments. I want to make sure that those are really, really generous. I have no problem with the 25% discount for usage for residents, but the 50% for not-for-profits and sister governments, if you have a neighborhood association who to this day still cannot find a place to meet, I don't want them spending, I looked at those rates for even like the smaller rooms, it's $500. Well, as residents, they get 25% off. If they're a neighborhood association, I want to see that we're working really hard to get them the 50% reduction. I don't want them just kind of like put off. And the same with our sister governments. I want to make sure that they really, look, it is our revenue, but they're our residents.
Right.
And there's a lot of taxpayer dollars going into this.
And that was part of the beauty of the whole thing, was this publicly accessible event space.
Right, and so
Absolutely.
we want to make it as user-friendly and publicly accessible for smaller groups of residents who don't have a place to go. The police station is busy, the library is busy, and now it's going to be under construction. So we have a lot of smaller rooms there. I want to make sure there's real outreach to the community so they know that's available. And under those terms, and with full disclosure, I can vote yes.
Great, thank you. So we do have a motion. Or we do,
Can-
do we
can
not?
I-
We
I'd
have
like to-
nothing. We have zero
I'd
on
like to
20.
say something as well, may I?
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to make clear that I always supported having a kitchen at the Moraine. We all did. And I support the contract with Michael's Catering. I think that'll be great. I am deeply troubled by how the kitchen build-out was not bookmarked within the context of a not-to-exceed ceiling price on the entire project. We should have considered the scope of the project from the beginning, or council should have had that opportunity, because maybe we would have made different choices. And it's one thing to add, well, I was upset, as you know, when we added the east entrance for the senior center, not upset with the entrance to the senior center, just, learning 3 days before the vote on 750,000 that we had that additional cost. But it is another thing to add $900,000, $926,000 for a kitchen you knew you were going to need. And so I do want to make the statement here that I'm very frustrated by the process. And I understand, I am worried about tariffs. I fully expect and appreciate that this will pass tonight, and I will vote for it tonight. It was helpful to listen to this conversation, but I want to know, I'll say what I want to know at the end of this. I realize that the city will make it back, apparently, over 4 years. That's what we're projecting. But as I said in committee of the whole, could we have saved more money if we had known the full scope from the beginning of the project? And I think we didn't even have the opportunity for, different choices, because it happened this way. And so that's something I feel is very important to know. No matter how many times somebody says we're going to make it back, how could we have spent less on this project? And I want to know, I am voting for this tonight, and I'm not sure how to do this, but I want to know how you will change this process going forward. We've already been through this once before with the east entrance, and it happened again with the kitchen. So what what can we have in place that stops this from happening again? That's my question.
City manager.
So a couple of things, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page. And I'm going to use like the Public Service Center as an example. So when we have a 10-year capital plan, and that helps us identify what capital projects, what public facility projects are planned with just a ballpark estimate of the anticipated cost for that project, and that 10-year capital plan is balanced. We don't truly have costs, engineering preliminary estimates until we hire consultant services to actually do that full assessment. So for example, that $3.5 million that we talked about was just a ballpark estimate based on a budget consideration. Now, if the direction was there is not an interest to draw down our fund balance, to look at our tax levy, to reallocate funds from other capital projects, all we have is $3.5 million. We would have made the $3.5 million work. It wouldn't have looked anything like that we have now, certainly, but we could have made that work within that budget. And so what we were doing was going to the city council to say, okay, well, here's the estimate for, and again, we were trying to keep the cost as low as possible as well, because that's what we do. And so the option was, for example, to have that project done, and the plan was to continue with the same design, to have one entryway for seniors as well as banquet services. But we came back with the council because that public engagement really kept driving for a dedicated entrance. That's when we came back to the council to say, what do you think? And then the council voted for it. So that's just an example of something from my perspective as your city manager. It was a thoughtful process because I wanted to make sure that this public facility reflects your policy direction for what we want that's going to last for generations to come. Now, some of the other things, for example, the kitchen build out not included in the budget, I hear you loud and clear. So certainly moving forward, that is cost that we'll put in there. Again, estimates based on our expert staff
what we're
putting in there.
asking for.
Yeah, no, and I hear you. We had a lot of issues going with this project that were external that we don't have to get into right now, but it wasn't done for various different reasons. But I definitely hear you that is good budgeting sense. And then if those budget numbers just fluctuate, again, we come to the policy based on our purchasing regulations, to the council based on purchasing regulations for any changes outside of that. So that is our general process. This project was atypical for a number of different reasons, but I guess where I will give you a comfort level is we spent $8 million on the fire station on time and under budget. You didn't have this there. So it's not like this is something that we need to change our whole process, right?
My understanding is you had a subcommittee for that of 2 council people who served on that. No, there was not?
No.
Okay,
No, it
that's
was
what
the chief and myself
Okay.
and Director Bannon and our staff.
I
Yeah.
heard from a council person that there was a subcommittee on that. I guess just more information as early as possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, but I guess like these costs just came to us also. So we are, again, we will try to bring everything to you as much as possible. I think the biggest thing that I just want to make sure that you have is what's still coming, what's outstanding, where are we at, so you can see the totality of the timeline. And we'll continue in the PowerPoints, just like we did in the committee of the whole, is the project background, which has the whole timeline in there. So just so we're on the same page of where did we start, where are we at, where are we headed? You know, so you can see the totality of the project.
Thank you.
Okay.
Council-
So
sorry.
if I may, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. So Councilmember Stone just asked that I just share this feedback with you, and she did share some comments of it previously as well. But she does disagree with waiving the bidding process for a large purchase, and then also has concerns with the purchase of gas-powered equipment, which is not in line with the city's greenhouse gas emissions reduction goal, and then certainly would have liked more options. So We shared during the committee of the whole meeting and then in the staff report, we did look at gas equipment in the kitchen. It ends up being about 100% more expensive.
Electric.
I'm sorry, electric, looking at electric. It ends up being about 100% more in cost. And also important is just the technology isn't feasible for a commercial kitchen and the work that's needed to be done there. So that's why electric is not recommended. Gas is proposed for the kitchen build out. Trimark was, correct me if I'm wrong, Trimark was competitively bid and selected as part of Leopardo's process. And so that's how we got to a professional relationship with Trimark and why they continue to work with us throughout the process. So that was competitively bid. It's just our process is the bid waiver of bid. And then just the last element, I just wanted to make sure the agreement with Catering by Michael, so Councilmember Litterwer's point, and I hear you and we'll go back and make sure that we're reviewing all those numbers. The agreement with Catering by Michael's is not for consideration this evening. And so those costs, for example, of how much we charge partner agencies and other governments will come separately on an agenda, and we'll explain our rationale for why we're recommending whatever we're recommending.
That's all I'm saying. Councilmember Tapia wanted to say something. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, since we're doing a little bit of lessons learned here, I do want to commend the staff about listening to the community about that ended up with the situation, the decision about the east entrance. And I know that sometimes we kind of go down a path with the best of intentions, but we're making decisions that are going to be lasting for 30, 40, 50 years, right? And I think that was a good time out to say, wait a minute, right? We're about to invest in something that we will never be able to change, really, in our lifetimes. So I think we want expediency, we want no surprises. On the other hand, we have to sort of leave room for, there's a moment where once you go down the path, you go, oh, we didn't see what was around this corner. Right. Now that we do, we have a decision to make. And I think it was good for us to pause. It cost us, but everybody's going to benefit for the long term here.
Right.
I'm a little bit repeating myself, but it feels really important. I mean, if we were a developer, we could never operate this way, that we have a scope of a project, that we have a budget, and we try to stick to that budget and work within the budget and make choices, based on that budget. And I agree. I mean, I certainly can see that the east entrance was something that, developed and made a difference and wasn't, considered before. But again, we all acknowledge it. A kitchen was absolutely considered and fully supported by council. So that I'm going to, if we're faced with this again, I guess fair warning that I'm going to, raise the same questions and be very ambivalent about voting for something that we, is a $1 million add-on.
Yeah,
I think it's been made clear to staff that with large projects, we need to have more clarity out of the gate before we can approve them, and I think that message has been sent loud and clear. So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve item 23.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Thanks. Dare I ask any further conversation? Any from the public? Yes, Aaron Jason.
Mayor, just before you all vote, I have one clarification, correction from what City Manager Newkirk mentioned. Trimark was not brought in through Leopardo. It was brought in through Halliburton Route and Catering by Michael's as part of those discussions. I just wanted to clarify that. So if people are looking at the documentation,
Thanks
it was
for the
through that design
clarification.
process.
Thank you. With that, let's call the vote.
Councilmember Bruckman. Aye. Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye, 5 ayes, no nays. Item 23 is approved. Item 24 is a resolution waiving the formal bidding requirements of the city's purchasing manual and approving the purchase of kitchen equipment for the senior center from Trimark Marlin LLC of Bedford Park, Illinois. Any comments, questions, or just a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments after the motion? Nope. Any from the public? Hearing none, will the clerk call the vote, please?
Councilmember Bruckman. Aye. Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotering.
Aye. 5 ayes, no nays. Item 24 is approved. Hallelujah. We'll have a kitchen at the senior center. With that, I'm seeking a motion to go into closed session. We don't have our usual movement, so we need to go into closed for purposes of pending litigation, potential litigation.
Potential litigation.
Potential setting of
Acquisition
price?
of property and collective bargaining.
Okay. So do I-
That's good enough.
that works? Okay. We
Second.
have a motion from Littlehurst, second from Tapia. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Brockman. Aye. Councilmember Ross.
Aye.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Mayor Rotary.
Aye. 5 ayes, no nays. We will go into closed session.